What's up, movie freaks? Today we are discussing Akira. My name is Ian, but also known as the Metal Gladiator.
I'm a movie freak numero tres. My name is Nathaniel. My YouTube channel is Film and Thespian.
And I'm the movie freak himself, Wilkamz. Alright, Ian, start us off. This was your pick.
This is my pick. Okay, so Akira is a 1988 anime film. I was about to say what year it was released, and I'm like, wait, I already said that. I was seriously about to do that.
What year was this released?
1988. So yeah,
wait,
film,
which year?
If you didn't know. The what?
Which year?
1988.
Which year is that?
1988.
Oh, okay.
Oh, by the way, this film was released in 1988. Just wanted to clarify.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah,
we were awesome.
yeah. I was a little confused, but I think I got it now. Cool.
I don't know anything about who directed it and nothing about that, so
I can
I
find that
probably
out.
I probably looked it up real quick.
Katsuhiro Otomo.
I remember that. Otomo. He directed it?
Yes. According to IMDb.
He's the one that wrote the manga too.
Oh yeah?
Yes.
Oh yeah, his picture on IMDb is him holding the manga up. So yeah,
Here it is.
Wow.
I
So
I
I'm
know,
guessing that
I-
it's pretty faithful. I don't know anything about the manga. The film is amazing.
Yeah, I'll go into that a bit later because apparently there are 5 volumes of this. I mean, this is a pretty big freaking volume.
That is.
So I will go into a little talk later about kind of like doing like a comparison. I haven't read this whole thing all the way through. I've read about half and I kind of skimmed through it, so I've got a decent idea. Do a little bit of comparison at least. But yeah, so with any kind of film adaptation, you're thinking 5 of those big books and being put into a 2-hour long movie. It's going to be a bit different. So I just want to say straight off, the animation in this film is absolutely gorgeous.
Oh yeah.
This is by far, not only is it probably in my top 10 favorite movies of all time, but I think it is one of the most visually beautiful films of all time. I stand by that. I love this movie.
The animation is probably, in my opinion, the strongest part about the movie.
Yeah, it's so good. Did
When
you
it
guys
first
see
started-
Corridor's video where they talked about that a little bit? It's one of their animators react ones.
Yeah.
They talked about
Oh,
Akira on
yeah.
there a bit, and yeah, so that's got some cool stuff in it.
Yeah, I meant to
It
go back
does.
and watch it so I could talk about it here, but I forgot.
Oh.
Yeah, I forgot about that too. But like, they did something really, really cool with the lights on the motorcycles because they
Wasn't
kind of
it-
like put the frames up against a light machine or something to make
Yeah.
it go in line, and it looks. I love it.
Yeah. Also,
And-
before we go too far, as always with film discussion, this is spoiler territory, so if you have not watched the movie,
Right.
go watch it. It's amazing. It's on Hulu.
Yeah.
And then come
Akira's
back and watch
already
us
dead.
talk about it.
He's dead the entire movie.
Shoot. Oh yeah, when the movie first opened up and the first probably 20 minutes or so, I'm like, this is just animated Blade Runner. that's what this is.
Yeah. There are definitely points
I can
where
see
it
that.
very much gives off that vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's it's Cyberpunk, is that the
The video game? Or you just talking about
No.
like
New
the
genre.
generalized style?
Yeah.
I guess that's what they call it, yeah.
I think I might just be
No, I
thinking
think
of.
you're.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
I think you're all right.
A certain
I've
type
never
of
been-
like futuristic style. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about cyberpunk. Maybe I'm not. It's not like I dislike it or anything. I'm just not a big fan of the term cyberpunk. It kind of gives off a different vibe than what it actually kind of is. I don't know.
That's why I'm not entirely sure that's the right word.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know. But I guess
I know cyberpunk is not just a video game, but is also like a genre term for
yeah.
something. But I'm not sure if that's the right one for Blade Runner and Akira.
But the one thing about the animation that makes it so incredible and why it still stands up to this day just blows a lot of modern anime and animation out of the water is the realism to it. People move constantly as they talk. So much animation nowadays, during talk scenes especially, it's just what we're doing now. Sitting down, or standing still, talking, close up of a person's face and just blah blah blah. Like all they have to animate is the mouth during talk scenes. And in this, it's like all the talking has so much movement. There's so much going on in the background, and it's just there's so much detail in this film, and it just adds to the realism. An example of the realism is during the first scene after after Tetsuo gets in his accident there, and the military helicopter shows up, how the characters react to the helicopters, like they see one in front of them and it blows, like the wind blows and stuff, and then the only reason they know there's one behind them is they get pushed with the wind from the helicopter blades and they react to it. So it's just really realistic and so appealing to look at. It's great.
Yeah, for sure.
I heard that this movie is one of the biggest reasons that anime is really popular in the U.S. Like this is like the movie that like brought it over into the States.
This is one of the classics, yeah.
For sure.
This one was a big part of it. I feel like Ghost in the Shell, that might have been a little bit later.
Yeah, that was
But that was
I think.
in early 90s, I think, yeah. Those were a couple of the big ones that were like kind of started to popularize anime over here.
Yeah, it makes sense. I remember every time I think of the animation, I remember just all the videos about like the comparison of it and why when you do actually compare them to new and old, like you understand why films like Akira and Ghost in the Shell are still loved to this day, you know. And I don't want to get repetitive with the animation, but probably the last thing I'll say, one particular moment that I really like, that every time I watch it, I just like straight up focus on it, is not the first. Well, kind of. It was the scene when Tetsuo just gets Akira out and stuff, and then Canada comes in with the laser gun thing, and they'll have that talk scene. That talk scene is so realistic and good. The way Canada just kind of like scans his eyes around the surroundings as he's talking to him is just fantastic. And I always love that line, "That's Mr. Canada to you punk." And then he shoots the laser. I love that part so much. But yeah, it's great. I'm a bit of a fanboy for this film, but with good reason.
Yeah. So the definition of cyberpunk is a genre of science fiction set in a lawless subculture of an oppressive society dominated by computer technology.
Oh, so right. Cool.
Yeah.
So I have a little bit of a complaint with the movie. I don't know if we're
No, you
there.
don't. No, you
First thing
don't.
off my head.
No, no, you don't. Just forget it. It's not an actual complaint. It's just treatment.
Kinda does love interest. I can't remember her name.
Okay.
Okay. That was super easy.
Yeah, that's her actual name.
I'm not super happy with how her character was used, because she's kind of introduced at the beginning of the film, and it kind of the way she's introduced kind of makes you feel like she's going to be really, really important. And then she does nothing in the entire movie. And keeps getting rescued by Canada. Yeah, it bothered me. But it's just like a little bit of a pick on the character.
Yeah. But that is one thing I've heard complaints of, is they're kind of like those subplots. Whole character and Ryu being one of them, those kind of subplots that doesn't get explored. But then again, you gotta look at it as 5 big volumes of manga material, so those subplots can be more explored in its source material.
Yeah, in the manga, I'm sure it's fine, but
yeah,
the movie itself, there was only the one movie, and it just kind of didn't really go anywhere. So
yeah, there is plenty of stuff that it seems like they could have done 3 more movies probably to try to explain everything that they were, or get out all the story that they had there.
Yeah, because I was noticing there was a lot of little bit of subplots that it felt like they set up but didn't really go anywhere by the end of the movie. But now that explains it. I didn't know that it was based off of a manga.
Yeah.
5 parts. So.
And that was a pretty thick manga too, the one you showed there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 5 of these.
Wow.
It is thick.
I wonder why
$25.
Make a movie for each volume, because I'm sure they made plenty of money off the first one in order to.
Yeah.
And if not then, I'm sure there would be more of a demand for it now than there was back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Sorry, you go ahead. No. I kind of understand that point of wanting to make maybe a trilogy and stuff, but at the same time, despite those flaws of the subplots kind of just not really going anywhere, I still think it works up really well as a standalone film.
Yeah, it's just kind of if you're super nitpicky about things, that kind of will as a little bit.
I was just gonna say, they never did make any other movies or series, did they? Because I know with Ghost in the Shell there was a couple of other movies and there were some series as well.
Video games of Ghost in the Shell. Yeah, I don't think they ever did anything else. I feel like I would have known about it by now.
Interesting.
But yeah, I didn't feel exactly the same with Kay's character. I understand where you're coming from with it, because she was kind of a part of that one subplot of those people. Because I don't even think it was until the third watch that I realized that guy, that small guy that overdoses at the end with pills and stuff, I didn't realize that he was part of the roundtable politician place.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't realize that until my thought walk. So that is kind of like something that's like, okay.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I felt like the way I see it is it was important because, one, it was the only way that Canada would have gotten into the facility to meet Tetsuo and stuff and all that. And two, Kei's character the kids use Kei's character near the end to kind of like try to fight Tetsuo.
Right.
So, but then they kind of like did the whole death scene thing with Ryu and that politician dude, which that kind of felt lackluster in a bit. I didn't really feel like it needed to be there. I kind of feel like
there should have been more, because I didn't really fully comprehend that scene at first. The last couple of times though I watched it, I'm like, oh, that's the guy that was with Kei at the beginning. They were talking about there possibly being a rat, you know, in their little
right
group that was, you know, and oh, it's the one she trusted the most. So I just feel like there should have been more in that, and then that scene would have made a lot more sense. Like it kind of I definitely saw that scene differently now that I understand it more, but like the first couple of times watching it, I was kind of like lost.
Yeah.
Didn't really understand what character was who. But
when I watched it the first time.
But I think that's basically the big reveal there, is that he was that rat that they mentioned earlier because they couldn't figure out how they were, you know, they were always onto their movements suddenly, and so it might have been when they were talking about the plan to break into the facility when Canada is like sneaking into the vent. I think the one guy was talking about, we have a rat somewhere, like someone has to be talking. Something like that. And so this last time I caught on that a lot better than I had.
Yeah, there's a scene of Ryu and that politician guy talking Olio, but like it still didn't.
Yeah, you kind of like, I don't know who these characters are really. I haven't spent enough time with them, you know.
Yeah.
Until you watch the movie 5 or 6 times, and then you're like, oh, I get it now. So but, it'd have been cool if they could have done a lot more. You know, I'd be perfectly fine if this movie was 3 or 4 hours long, because it's so good. But
I would be hyped for that.
I mean, that's not necessarily. I mean, I guess you would kind of want to spend a little bit more time with those characters to kind of really understand what was going on. But I think it's not necessarily a bad thing. Going back and rewatching it and then like picking up on things, like that gives it rewatchability, which I love about any movie. But I mean,
for sure.
So,
but I'd say that would probably be the one flaw that I really have with the film, is that kind of like subplot, because when you mentioned like that, it's like that was like the Ryu and Kei, you know, had a very trustworthy relationship, so it would have been a bit more interesting. And I think it is a bit interesting too that I kind of like it when things do this, when you as the audience see the reveal, but that character doesn't. You know?
Yeah.
I find that even honestly, I can kind of see that as a better method of storytelling than the actual character finding out.
Right, because like no one later found out.
Yeah.
It. So it's definitely cool. I just think that maybe even just a couple more scenes or something with that. I keep drawing a blank on like what to call their group, but they're like revolutionary group or whatever, you know, the terrorists. if we just got a couple more scenes with that group to kind of, I don't know, show just a little bit more that, like, if there's a rat, it's definitely not this guy.
Yeah.
Type of thing, because that's kind of how it's set up. I just feel like we needed a little bit more time so that we fully understand which character is which.
Yeah.
Especially with anime that is more realistic like this. Sometimes it's a little bit, if they don't have a very distinct thing about them, it can some of the characters can kind of blend together, or like you're kind of like, wait, I don't remember what this person's name was. At least I have this problem anyway. Sometimes I'm like, I don't remember who this character is, or if I've seen them yet, even if I saw them in an earlier scene.
That's one thing I really liked about the two main guys in Canada in Tetsuro's gang.
Right, you know who they are.
Yeah, Yamagata was taller than the other guy, so it kind of like, one guy was really short, and that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. So, but the guy that that was the rat, he's very plain.
Yeah.
So like first couple of watches, I really didn't like follow who he was, except for like those couple of scenes where he is with the group.
Yeah.
You know,
when he's with Kay, you know who he is. When he's not with Kay, kind of like, wait, who's this guy again? Until they say
exactly.
And it doesn't help when that entire group, aside from Kay, has mustaches.
Yeah.
And like you said, that there's a point where he has a meeting with the shorter guy or whatever. Like that, I see that there's a meeting with that guy. He's part of the political table. And I know something to do with the political stuff is going on. I get it. Okay, political drama. But it didn't dawn on me, I think, until the last time that I watched it, which is like the 5th or 6th time that I've seen the movie, that, oh, that's that guy talking to him. That's who that is.
And I have something to bring up that is kind of going a little bit with the manga. So, I can't recall this ever being said, but the reason, or one of the reasons that in the beginning, that one guy who was a part of that group with Ryu and Kay kidnapped at number 26, I think it was, there. They was trying to take him.
Yeah, at the beginning.
Yeah, they were trying to get Akira. In the manga, this was explained. Like, they were like, oh, that, like, they were like shocked because it was weird because Kay and Ryu were actually there at that scene when Tetsuro. Well, it's a little different because the military doesn't really show up and take Takashi, the kid, at the moment Tetsuro crashes and stuff. They don't take him in that moment in the manga, so it's a bit later. But like they explained that the reason that they were going into the facility and kidnapping him and stuff because they thought they were trying to get Akira. But then later, of course, you find out that Akira isn't really alive anymore. He's all like a bunch of body parts and blood cells.
Yeah.
But yeah, I find that interesting. 'Cause I don't recall hearing anything like that in the movie.
Yeah, and when we were talking about some of the side plots that don't fully get like explained. I think that's kind of one of them. Like, we don't really know like what that group is trying to do or what they want with the kids.
Yeah.
You just know that they're against like the government, and that's like really all you get.
Right.
So I thought that was cool because it's like not really a big debate, but it's a hinted debate that Akira was the reason for World War III and stuff. So I kind of feel like maybe that was the reason. Of course, I haven't read the whole thing. I've only read like a half of a first volume, but
Yeah, well, they do hint at that in the movie.
Yeah,
pretty heavily, don't they?
Yeah, it was in the movie, but I'm saying like that was probably one of the reasons why they were trying to get Akira. Because in the manga, that they thought that kid was Akira. They were trying to get Akira, but when they were shocked when they found out that Takashi was not Akira. So
Yeah.
that was kind of like my point there. It's like that's probably one of the reasons why they're trying to get Akira, was to maybe like question him or interrogate him about Wolfie or something. I don't know.
Because like at the end when like they bring the Akira pieces together or whatever, and that like white explosion type thing is like going off, it looks like when they talk about World War III and the explosion that went off at the beginning, it looks the same.
Mm-hmm.
So it is. I feel like they were strongly hinting there that it might have been to do with how they were experimenting on and messing around with stuff they had no idea about, and is what caused that whole ordeal in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I want to go ahead and go into another manga comparison. This has to do with the character of Canada. In the movie, he's a bit goofy, but the one thing that I kind of liked a little better with the manga was he kind of had more of like a detective side to him. So basically, during the whole deal with number 26, Takashi, with Tetsuo being crashed and stuff, and then during that, Canada finds a capsule that was dropped by Takashi and stuff, and it was like one of the capsules they use. I don't know. I think those capsules are actually in the movie, though. I don't know. He took it.
They don't talk a ton about the capsules, but I know when Tetsuo.
Yeah.
Was like starting to have trouble and stuff. He was looking for capsules because they had him on the medication and everything. When he was under the hospital care, whatever. But when he got out and started having trouble, he went looking. He was asking like the bar guy for capsules and stuff. So like they mentioned it, but it wasn't like a real big thing.
So one of the things that made Canada kind of curious in the manga to kind of like portray everything was he got one of those capsules that were dropped during like the first deal and stuff, and he actually took it to the school nurse or something, school scientist person, and he had her to analyze it and stuff, and that kind of like sparked his interest. So it was a bit more details, and I kind of like that side of his character, because in the movie they didn't really show anything like that. He was just kind of like, "Hey, there's Kay. Pretty cool. I'm gonna go follow."
Yeah, and then kind of just dragged into everything that's happening.
Yeah, so in the manga, he was a bit more like interested, trying to find out what was going on. I mean, I still kind of got that impression a little bit in the movie. I just kind of felt like he kind of did it as he kind of was goofy, and I felt like he was putting more of an act on to try to get information or something than actually being more like detective style or something. So that was an interesting comparison that I saw reading the little bit of the manga I have read. But yeah, it's pretty different. Like, the stuff with the clown gang at the beginning of the movie is like near the end of this.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah, and it's not read like a typical manga either, which is weird. Yeah,
It's not right.
Pretty sure you see. No. Yeah, here's near the end. And there's clown guy dude. But no, it's like comic book more like comic book style.
Isn't that like a sin to release a manga that's not right to left?
I don't know.
Whoever published that here in the U.S. is probably going to hell.
Yeah, I still love the movie. I just definitely want to explore the manga, obviously, because I bought a volume. But it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not something that I want to get like so heavily into the comparison that I end up hating one over the other.
Right.
Like certain things.
Yeah.
Because there are some animes that I just like, I don't want to watch this anime, I'd rather read them.
Yeah.
But,
well, I mean, each medium offers its different qualities and stuff to the story. So you will get a little bit more out of the manga than you would in the movie because, for one, a movie has a runtime, so it can't have everything. So it just takes like the most important stuff and puts it into the film, which I feel like they did focus on the most important parts to the story that they were trying to tell for the movie. So yeah, I don't think like if they had tried to fill in all those subplots. I mean, they could have added like a little bit more to them, but I feel like if they had focused too much on them, then that would have just bloated the movie, and so it was probably a smart choice that they didn't focus too heavily on the subplots, even though it would have been nice to have a little bit of extra stuff for a few of them.
Yeah. Could have been like 30 minutes longer.
Yeah. 3 hours
I
long.
agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, if it was 4 hours long,
It'd still be awesome.
if it was, if the quality that the rest of the movie is, it was still there, I'd be completely fine with it, but most people wouldn't.
Yeah. It probably wouldn't have helped the U.S. and the States get really into anime at all.
Yeah,
they'd be like, why is it so long?
Yeah. I feel like the end part where Tetsuo is like transforming and stuff, I feel like that really inspired what's his name, Tartakovsky with Dirge in the Clone Wars cartoon.
Yeah.
I thought of that too.
I think that's where that inspiration comes from. I could be wrong, but
Most likely.
I can see it.
Yeah.
It's probably what it was.
Yeah. I feel like and this isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I feel like there's a bit of I don't know how to keep thinking philosophical, but I don't know if that's quite exactly right. There's ideas played with in this film that don't get a ton of exploration, and definitely not answers, at least as far as I know.
You mean like themes?
Yeah. Kind of, yeah. Like, I feel like there's deeper meanings to certain things in it,
Mm-hmm.
and to certain things that they say or that they show, but I don't exactly know what those are.
Yeah, I feel like that probably has to do with something that was going on in Japan.
Yeah, and it
During
could be a culture
these.
thing.
Yeah.
Because I was kind of thinking that too. I was like, I feel like there's probably some sort of now I can't think of the word. I feel like there was probably some sort of commentary on something that was going on in Japan at the time.
Yeah.
But I didn't live in Japan in the 80s, so I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, and like I feel like I feel like there's some stuff to the powers that the kids have and stuff, and that there's like some deeper meaning to them and stuff. And I don't know, the guy like studying the ring thing that would make the music for like, and it was like whatever signal they were giving off, the people who had the powers or whatever. And like towards the end he's like, is this the birth of a universe? And I don't know, I feel like there's a lot there that I don't fully get, and like that's okay. Like I kind of like thinking about it and wondering about some of the stuff, but like I don't actually know like what meanings the director was trying to put into it, if that makes sense. With some of that stuff, which is
that makes
part of the reason I love the movie as much as I do, because I love movies that I enjoy watching, like, because they're so masterfully made and stuff, but then they have me thinking and I don't fully understand everything.
Like most of Charlie Kaufman's films.
Yeah, like Charlie Kaufman or Mikhail Haneke, Jodorowsky. Those types of movies are the best.
Michael Bay.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
Michael Bay.
Top tier, Michael Bay.
When I see, and he boom, explosion, I'm like, damn.
What's the meaning for that?
What does that explosion mean? Like, what is the deeper, like,
why is
symbolism behind like the placement and the color of the explosion?
Why was Megan Fox placed in front of the explosion? 20 kilometers.
What is he trying to say here?
Why does that transformer?
What is the mise en scène
One
of
leg
placing the explosion right there?
I'm trying to say with Bumblebee's way of communicating with the radio. I feel like there's a deeper meaning there.
Yeah, I think you're onto something.
But yeah, I like that because at the end, Canada was like unsure if Tetsuo died and stuff, so that kind of supports that. Is this a both of the universe thing?
Yeah, because he seemed unsure, but he also seemed very at peace. Like, well, whatever just happened, like Tetsuo's all right. Yeah. Like he had that calmness about him. Like he didn't really fully understand, but he knew like whatever it is, it's good.
Fully understand the powers either. I mean, like telekinesis stuff, but that's like the basic.
Yeah.
I feel like there's more to what the little girl was saying about it, because she kind of gave a Star Wars explanation for it. Of it's in everybody. They just need to know what to do to use it.
It was the Force. It was just the Force. That's all.
It's like,
I felt like
it's in
that.
everybody, but not everyone can awaken it, or
I feel like that wasn't really the best explanation.
I was fine with it. It's like
and two, they hint too, because like it's like they kind of explained it as like a dormant ability that we don't know is there.
Right.
So like it takes something awakening it before you can even use it. Like you can't just learn about it and then, okay, I can figure out how to use this. It was like something had to awaken it. And they also I can't remember exactly, but they mentioned a little bit about evolution as well. So they were kind of hinting at like this was humanity's next like stage, I guess, in their evolutionary process. And too, that kind of birth of the universe thing at the end, it was kind of like I don't know, something to
connection.
Yeah, I get
all that stuff.
What?
But yeah, the explanation of the powers didn't bother me because, like you said, it's kind of like a Star Wars thing.
Yeah.
And like, there's something that fantasy users or fantasy writers use as a description of like magic, and that's soft magic and hard magic. And soft magic is basically magic is there, but it's not really explained. You don't really know the rules, and that would be like Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. Like about the Force and you know about magic, but you don't really understand it. You don't really know the rules. You know that there are rules, but you don't know what they are. You know, that type of thing. And then there's hard magic, which is more Harry Potter, which they like go into depth about how it's used and
this is the spell. This is what you say.
Yeah,
that sort of thing.
This is how you use it, type thing.
Yeah.
So Akira is would be in soft magic, where like you know that there are powers, but you don't really know the rules and everything, and like that description kind of is just a broad, vague description, which is so yeah, it didn't bother me that much because
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the only thing that bothered me about it was I just kept thinking Star Wars, and I didn't want it to be compared in that kind of way. So it's kind of my own fault. I just kept thinking, oh, it's the Force.
Oh, of course.
It's not the Force. So it's something I want to get into, and I wish I had it out so I can show it off, because I love showing off my
Things.
collection. But I actually have the soundtrack of this on vinyl.
Oh, that was something.
Is it not easily
My
accessible?
gosh. Probably not, because I've got like some boxes that are just nothing but vinyl, and then some that are like half vinyl, half CD. So I didn't really. I just gotta get it.
You got pictures on your Instagram?
Yes, I do.
We'll link your Instagram in the description.
Yes.
Go check out the pictures.
You might have to. You scroll down a little bit, but yeah, number one, amazing soundtrack on its own. I listened to it. Obviously, I played it on. It sounds great through vinyl, especially. I love it. And
It's got that 80s sound. 80s just sounds good on vinyl.
Yeah, but it fits so well within the movie. And when you listen to it by itself, it's you kind of get that sense of like, this is like really weird and unique. How could this fit in anything? And it just fits so well. It's like,
Yeah, I was.
I question how they were able to actually pull that off, because it's so amazing.
The music is one of the best parts about that movie. It is really good soundtrack.
Yeah. They know how to make a good soundtrack. I feel like Ghost in the Shell was the same way. But it's like it stands out enough, but it doesn't overtake anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like you notice the music in a good way.
Yeah. But it doesn't take away from what's going on in the film.
Right. It's perfect.
Yeah. No, I wish I did get. Yeah. I wish I did get the vinyl out, because I remember there being like a whole page in like the little booklet thing, or half booklet. It wasn't really a booklet, it was just kind of like a page, but of like the composer and like a whole like session of like reading that you could do about him and the music and stuff. So I kind of wish I got that out. I could have went more in detail with it. Man, I have a lot of regrets right now. And it complements the visuals.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, thinking about this, not much I can say about the soundtrack, really. Like, yeah, I wish I did actually get it out. And so,
It's good. That's all you need to know. It's good.
it's more than good. It's fantastic.
It's spectacular, even.
Superb.
Spectacular. Something I want to go into, which in some ways gets overlooked a lot in the anime community, especially in the West here, like in US and everything, because they kind of go off of voice dubs a lot of times. I'm not saying like the voice dub community doesn't understand this part of the anime, but the voice acting is incredible. It really is. I feel so much emotion with the original Japanese voice actors than any English dub ever. English dubs just sound robotic to me.
Well, the reason why I feel like is because they have to match lip flaps and they have to match and just translating stuff is difficult. So sometimes it is also just like the translation's not super good. But they have like a certain amount. Usually what happens with voice acting is they record the voice acting first, and then they animate along to how you say it to get the lip syncing correct. But when it's dubbed, you have the opposite of that. You have to act out your lines in this amount of time and kind of in this way, so that way it fits with the lip flaps. So that's why I think most voice dubs for anime or other animated foreign films.
Dubs are just bad. Dubs in general.
Dub in general. That's why I don't think it's as good, because you don't get the actor's full performance because they're trying to keep it in a certain range.
Yeah.
Force
and that kind of
a performance in that way, it starts to lose its...
Yeah, and that's kind of why modern voice dubs sound bad, because I mentioned a lot earlier that Dragon Ball Z, which was an 80s, 90s anime, was my favorite voice dub. And I think a reason for that is everything nowadays just looks so digital anyway, so it just feels so fake and out of place to have voice dubs for it. You know? Like, the animation with the voice dub, the English voice dub, just don't combine well at all. And I think that's one reason why I like Dragon Ball Z. You know, I can tolerate Dragon Ball Z voice dub. And honestly, in some ways, when I look at some of the characters and I hear how they sound, I'm like, oh, if these characters spoke English, that's what they would sound. I picture that's what them sounded like. Like Vegeta's a good example. If Vegeta spoke English, like, that's how he'll sound. Like, I can't picture it any other way. Like, I can't. It just sounds so good. But yeah.
This was one of the first Japanese anime films to have the characters' voices recorded first before animating. Typically, this is typical practice in the U.S. animation, but the Japan animation before that was the animation was generally produced first.
Huh. I didn't know that, actually.
I didn't either. I was just scrolling through the trivia on IMDb, and then you guys were talking about it, so I was like, oh, hey, I'll bring that up.
Interesting. Well, anime and stuff usually don't have, like, they just kind of...
Yeah. You would typically just have the mouth open and close, open, close, open, close. Yeah.
So, like, doing it that way isn't really super... isn't super problematic, but
you could definitely tell a difference in this one.
Yeah.
Like how much better it looks matched up to the voice.
Yeah, but in the U.S., our animation isn't just up and down, up down. They try to match it to the words, so that way it looks like they're actually saying specific words.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't really be able to get away with that if you did it that way.
Yeah. But the voice acting, there wasn't really anything that was kind of like flawed or anything. It was, they picked all the right people. Of course, I don't know any of the actors' names or anything like that, but they just picked all the right people for all this. And one thing that stood out to me, especially with the realism part to it, was the time when Kay killed that man for the first time, and she screamed. Like, that was a real scream. Like, it felt so real, and it was great. That was one moment that really stood out. Mm-hmm. And pretty much just any line from Tetsuo when he's all angry or has headaches and stuff. And that's another thing about, like, Japanese voice acting, is they put so much more into more than just the lines. Like, they'll do all the groans and everything. Like when Tetsuo's having visions of his guts spilling out into the concrete and filling them back up. Like, they voiced that. Like, I imagine they even acted out in the studio booth, something.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah, they got to, with how good it is. But, like, it's just fantastic. English dub sucks. Ian Sylvain, 2021. English dub sucks. I gotta say it like a South Park character. English dub sucks. Sucks so bad. It sucks so bad it killed Kenny. Yeah, I don't watch South Park really, but it is pretty funny.
It is funny.
What were you guys' thoughts on the colonel, the military dude? What do you think of his character?
I don't know. He seemed like he was trying to mess with stuff he didn't understand.
Yeah.
And I think that would kind of make him like the reason everything happened, because isn't him messing with things he didn't understand really what woke Tetsuro's powers?
Yeah.
Or am I thinking of a different character?
I think you're thinking of a different character.
Tetsuo's powers woke from running into Takashi.
Yeah. I'm talking about the military dude, the main military dude that has like little hair, mustache, very buff and tall.
Okay, I was thinking of the same person. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think.
Oh wait, no. He wanted them to kill Tetsuro, so that way.
Yeah. So he told the doctor to, like,
it's what happened.
Right.
And then the doctor or whatever was like, "But I can't because, like, look
too
at
good of a subject."
Yeah, too good of a
like,
subject.
I'm a scientist. I'm a scientist. I have to be down for the community.
Yeah, I feel like the colonel, as far as the government side, was the only good guy.
I agree.
On the bad guy's side, or what, like, as far as the government part. Because, like, so he's there, he's assisting and helping with the scientific stuff whenever he can, even though he's not really has any thing to do with that, really, right? But he oversees it, he helps with it. But he talks about how he has to think of things the way a soldier thinks, because he's also trying to keep the entire population safe as well. It's like, yeah, I'm trying to help figure this stuff out and discover this stuff, but also I'm trying to keep everybody safe. And when it came to the government about to screw all that up, he took over. When they were basically kicking him out, he was like, nope, you're the ones kicked out. I'm taking over. I'm the one who has the soldiers. And so, like, he was literally putting everything on the line there to try to save everybody.
Yeah. I really liked this character. It was cool. Like what you said there, like he was kind of like the good guy because in the villain side, because near the end, at the end there, besides Canada, the 3 kids, the only other character they really tried to save that wasn't Tetsuo was the Colonel.
Yeah.
You know? Because they kind of knew that he was, not like he wasn't a scientist or a politician or anything, so I mean...
Right, and he's kind of on the side that maybe isn't doing the best stuff, and, not all of his decisions are like you said, he was ready to kill Tetsuo, that's one of our main characters, so we would have seen that as, like, he's the bad guy, but at the same time, too, he's doing it because he's trying to protect everybody. So he's kind of like a good mixed character of, like, on the line.
Yeah.
Like, I think he always intends good with the things that he does, but he doesn't really have, like, a restraint on, oh, I'm not going to kill somebody.
Yeah.
Because
he's a soldier.
Right. I'm a soldier. If I got to kill 10 people to save 1 million people, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Type of thing,
Yeah.
But he had also seen, like, that same, like, power level. Like, they were looking at the power level of Tetsuo compared to Akira. So they were like, this is kind of close.
Yeah.
Maybe we should not. Because last time we had something like this, stuff happened.
Yeah, I like that he was, like, ready to, like, literally kill the scientists when he saw that. And he was like, I told you not to proceed with this, He, like, picked him up and was got to mortal him, really.
Yeah.
Like, he was, like, pissed off.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a cool thing with this character, was he was kind of like... He did kind of just have, like, the simple mind of a soldier, but he was still kind of... I felt like he was on the bad guy side in a way, but, like, he was also battling the bad guys. Because he almost killed the scientists, and then, of course, he doesn't like politicians and stuff, and he was arguing with them all the time. So, he is a really interesting character. I really liked him.
Yeah.
Okay. The one character I feel sorry for the most would be Kari or something. The girl who liked Tetsuo.
Oh, Tetsuo's girl. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel sorry for her at the end. That was like, oh. Another thing that I can add into the amazing voice acting is how scared Tetsuo was when he felt or dying within him. That was...
Whoever the voice actor was for Tetsuo, it really did do a fantastic job, because he's in a lot of pain and distress and just confusion and trying to figure stuff out throughout this whole movie. And it's brought to life very well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
When he is in pain, when he's scared, when whatever, like, you believe it 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was so sad when he was...
Yeah, that these characters are animated and the life behind them is some guy in a booth somewhere.
Yeah.
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 But I loved the part when he was like looking at Canada like he's literally just had like a straight up death match trying to kill Canada and stuff. He doesn't like Canada, and then at the end he was like, "Canada, help me, please!" He was like so scared and just like, "Please help."
Because the whole movie, he's like, "I don't need your help.
Yeah,
stop trying to help me.
Baby.
And then, right when he's like on like his last, like, okay, I'm in over my head. Please help me.
Yeah, I can't control it anymore. It's about to kill his girlfriend. And he's like, help.
I really liked the relationship between Canada and Tetsuo because it was really like they are best friends, obviously, and I don't doubt for a second that throughout the entire movie that they never really saw each other than friends. Even despite when Tetsuo kind of gets power hungry and starts looking down on him and starts taunting him, and even when Canada feels like he has to kill Tetsuo, I still think you still got the impression that they still looked at each other as best friends. And I really like that. Like, it's weird. Like, you don't really get that with everything else. It's kind of like, because it's like, Canada doesn't actually want to kill Tetsuo. It's like,
yeah, but he feels like he has to because he's putting everyone else in danger.
But it was just so well done.
Yeah.
He also said too, and I don't know if it's like a Japanese culture thing, but like at one point too, when like everyone's going after Tetsuo and military and everything, Canada says, "He's our friend. We should be the ones to kill him. It should be us."
Yeah, I think that was during the scene when he rode Yamagata's bike into the thing. Yeah.
I like that part too. He's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm sending him his bike."
Yeah.
But I feel like I've heard similar stuff in other Japanese films and stuff. I can't think of specific examples. That's why I say maybe it was a culture thing. About that person has to die, but like he's my friend, so I should be the one to do it. It shouldn't be some stranger.
It adds something to like the story and stuff, and that also reminds me of the something in season 1 of Game of Thrones where Ned Stark was talking about how he should be the one to kill the wolf and not anybody else. Like, she's of the north. She deserves better than a bushwalk's boy, or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, I like
it's that same kind of thing.
I feel like it's very, like, honorable thing. Some kind of, like, tradition honorable thing.
Something to do with, like, some sort of care being put into the act instead of just the cold act itself.
Right.
By some stranger, I guess.
Yeah. It really does add something to character motivation and storytelling. Because if you had some like a picture of the scene that I was talking about earlier that I really like the dialogue from and stuff, when Canada was like, "That's Mr. Canada to you," and picture that scene but with the colonel up there with the laser gun and being like, "That's Mr. Colonel to you." Like, it would just be so stupid. They would just lose all the effect of that scene.
Mm-hmm.
So, and when he just gets his arm shot off, and then Canada's lifting the rock, and he's like, "Tetsuo!"
Yeah.
I love that. Oh, the anime trope of two best friends / rivals yelling each other's name during a fight. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. I just love this movie.
Yeah, I do too.
It's a good movie.
That's why I've watched it like 6 times.
Yeah, I need to watch it again. I've only
I
got at least
I bought
I
it
think I
on
watched
Blu-ray
Cold
that
Heart.
once
Yeah.
from BAM when I was still there, and the audio on it didn't work. So
That
I
was
took
weird,
it back.
though.
Yeah, it was really weird.
So
No audio
I almost
worked.
think that it did we figure out that it was the actual audio? Because remember in the beginning of the
I know
movie,
the,
like
the beginning of the
there's
movie is
like almost
pretty
no
quiet.
audio.
Yeah, I remember that. So, and that's what it's always my first thought. It was like, okay, well, maybe it's a part where there is no audio, like nothing, because there are
Yeah,
times
it's
like
just
that.
silence.
But I skipped ahead to other scenes, and there was nothing.
Yeah.
So
'Cause
I
I always
returned
have-
it, and I haven't gotten it since. So like, I still don't own it.
Yeah.
But I almost did. I did for a minute, but it didn't work, so I took it back.
I don't own the movie, but I own the first thing of the manga, and I own the soundtrack on vinyl. So I need to get on getting the movie because it is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
You need to get the movie complete set.
Yeah, and then the other 4 volumes for that manga, and then get every variation color for the soundtrack on vinyl because those other ones they're just so freaking expensive on eBay.
Dang.
Yeah.
Do we have anything else?
Yeah. Every time I watch the movie, because it starts off all silent, I get those flashbacks of having no audio during the movie, like that copy that you had. I'm just like, oh no.
Yeah, because we tried
It's
to
messed
watch
up.
it as soon as I got that, and
Yeah.
But yeah, because I remember I watched for a little while and there was nothing, and then so like, of course I hadn't seen the movie before that.
Yeah.
So I
But I
wasn't sure,
remember,
but I was like skipping
yeah.
ahead, and I could see that there were talking, but there was nothing.
Yeah.
I think even subtitles were coming up, but there was no sound at all. So I was
So weird.
yeah,
Yeah.
just a
I
defective
want
Blu-ray, I guess. That's the only time I've ever like seen that happen. I mean, I know defects happen, but
Yeah. I want to also point out that there will, I might be saying this wrong, but I would say approximately 130 different colors that were created during the making of this movie. Heck yeah. That is super impressive. Like, think about that. Think about how visually insane and spectacular this movie is, and then just like over 100 colors were created during the making of this movie. That was something. That's a little trivia thing that really stood out to me. Yeah, I don't
created or just used.
think created. I don't know. I feel like there was something with created. I might be wrong.
Did you see it on IMDb trivia?
I think I saw it on the
Exactly.
Instagram post. There's the IMDb trivia say.
The movie consists of 2,212 shots, 160,000 single pictures, 2 to 3 times more than usual, using 327 different colors, another record in animation film. 50 of which were exclusively created for the film.
Okay, 50. That's still pretty impressive.
Still a lot. That's still a lot of colors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reason for this statistic is that most of the movie takes place at night, and setting that is traditionally avoided by animators because of the increased color requirements.
Let's give a round of applause to Akira. So, in summary, Akira is a spectacular, fantastic film. Definitely in my top 10 films of all time. By far, I haven't seen a whole lot of anime films yet, so it's my favorite anime film, obviously. But I honestly don't see anything really topping this. Stand by pretty much everything I said about the movie. It's visually amazing. The soundtrack's awesome. Voice acting's great. Everything about it is fantastic. It's got some minor flaws, so I definitely recommend it to anybody who likes even a good movie. You don't just have to be into anime. If you are into anime and you haven't seen it, what the heck are you doing with your life? That's the big question. But I just recommend this to anybody who likes a good story and a good film, because I think it is a really good introduction to like anime and stuff. And it's fantastic. I definitely give it a 10 out of 10.
I think I really like this film. This is the first time I watched it was in preparation for this video. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. Everything about it is very well done. My only complaint for it is that thing about the subplots that we talked about earlier. So I give it a 9 out of 10. Definitely would recommend it to anyone, especially if you're into animation. Definitely would recommend.
I love this film. I've watched it like 6 times. Not too much to complain about. It's pretty near perfect. Just wish there were some more of it. Yeah, highly recommend to literally anybody. And if you don't like this film, we probably can't be friends.
Agreed.
Yeah, so I also give it a 9 out of 10. Thanks everyone for watching this episode of Film Discussion, especially if you got this far. Be sure to subscribe for more, because we're trying to do this like every month. And then subscribe to The Metal Gladiator, Ian, and subscribe to Film and Thespian. And their links will be in the description as well as up on this end screen here. And be sure to like the video, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Sayonara.
Sayonara. So,
why do you have Nathaniel's shirt behind you?
I thought it would be a better background than my bed. So I used Nathaniel's shirt.
That's because Ian shrunk himself down and he's sitting right here under me.
Okay. I'll go that far.